Good evening. My name is Cesar Quintero. I am the owner of the Profit Recipe. I'm here to help and have the mentor session. Let me pull up the questions. All right. First question is for Ricardo Delgado. How can I incentivize employees to stay longer with my company? I own and operate a barber business. I feel like I can find a way to give the employees stock share or bonuses that would incentivize them to stick around more and grow with the business. If there's any strategies that have worked out there, I would like to hear about them. Thank you. Um, wow, this is something I did in my business and I loved. I'm always a big proponent of incentivizing team members. There's two great books that talk about this. The first one I did by the book, which is The Great Game of Business by Jack Stack. And what he talks about there is how to incentivize people. And actually, he has scorecards and weekly meetings to make sure that there's bonuses for teams and for business as a whole based on profitability and any metric that you want to pull and drive. And there's profit sharing at the end based on that. What I liked about the book the most is that it creates a team element to it so that we all are banding together and wanting to achieve that. But then also, the other incredible piece of this is that the bonus is paid throughout the year with 10% the first quarter, 20% the second quarter, 30% the third quarter, and 40% the fourth quarter. That way, everybody starts getting a piece of that bonus and that profit sharing while they go. Now, I know that you're talking specifically on how to help people be more engaged. That's what the second book talks about more, is Profit Works by Alex Freytag. And what he talks there in that book is 4 different methods that you can incentivize people with different vehicles on how to incentivize key employees, key people that are part of your business. He has great ideas there. But basically, the notion I love is profit sharing. So I don't like giving equity away to employees, but what I like to do is while they're in the company and they're performing the way they need to perform, if by the end of the year our profit, target is 10%, 15%, 20%, depending on what industry you're in, whatever's excess of that, because remember, the company needs the cash in order to grow. So if we hit the target, then there's a bonus. But if they go over that target, then we can profit share and distribute profits throughout the company and different incentives. So there's different books for that that goes into specifics. I went word for word on Great Game of Business. It worked really well. It's a little complex. There's a lot of moving parts, but that works really well. If you want like a key man employee, somebody who's going to be your partner, somebody who's going to go through that, phantom stock I'm a big fan of as well. What phantom stock means is while they're in the business, they have shares. When they leave the business, they're no longer, those shares are out. So you can have shares that are vested, and there's a lot of complexities that can go there. But if you go to the simple way, I love profit sharing as a method for everybody being aware of profit, increasing revenue, reducing costs, and everybody being part of that same process. Hope that helps, Ricardo. All right. Number 2, I got Demarius Tux. When should I hire my CPA as a bookkeeper? I operate a phone flipping business and I am full-time home inspector. As business grows in both fields, how do I know when it's time to flip the switch and get a full-time bookkeeper? All right, these are 2 different questions though. The first question you asked is, when do you hire your CPA as your bookkeeper? And the answer to that is never. Let me explain. The CPA are great because they help you with tax liabilities. They can help you audit your bookkeepers and reconcile your books and make sure that things are right. I always like separating CPA work from bookkeeping work. Bookkeeping work is just adding the things into QuickBooks, adding things into that. In my case, what I did was I had a CPA train somebody in my office on how to import those things into QuickBooks, how to input, accounts payable, accounts receivable, print checks, and kind of input the day-to-day transactions, and then at the end of each month, the CPA would just audit that and make sure that all the work was done right. What that gained was I don't have to pay CPA prices for something that's just plugging in and adding things into the day-to-day work. So I like separating them both. It keeps the administrative part of bookkeeping as part of your internal thing. You could do that, or like right now, there's a ton of external people. I have like a guy in India who's certified CPA in US, and I pay him like $10 an hour, and they all do all the bookkeeping, and then I have a CPA at the end of each month just reconcile and make sure that what they did was right. That saves me a ton of money, and it creates a lot of efficiencies because you have one person checking the work of the other. When you have a CPA who's also your bookkeeper, there's no cross-reference, and sometimes you can't check that work. The second question you asked here in your paragraph is mostly around when is it time to switch and get a full-time bookkeeper. So I'm guessing you're inputting this, and my suggestion here is now. Like the sooner you can let go of the things that are not your superpower, the better. It's a who not how kind of philosophy. So if you're doing bookkeeping and you're good at it or you're not good at it or whatever, I believe that your superpowers are somewhere else. Get somebody who can do it really fast, somebody in your team, an assistant, somebody who can do more admin work. I would flip that switch immediately. That's one of the things I hire the first, is anything that's a bookkeeper or an admin assistant that they can manage all this work that is just busy work and not real work that will take the company forward. So I hope that helps. All right, let's go with Josh Ciaramitaro. How do I know what questions to ask mentors when I don't know what questions to ask? How do I not know what I don't know? And he says, Incentivize is a new e-commerce business in the FBA retail and online arbitrage space. We are new, and I just don't know what questions to ask you mentors in order for me to grow my company. I want to learn and get guidance, but I am a little stuck knowing what to ask. We're pretty much pre-revenue and just starting with a company. If it helps, I also have a full-time job, so I'm doing this off hours with hopes of possibly quitting my job someday. All right. First of all, congratulations on getting started on something on the side. I love it. That's the way minimum viable products, and then launch it and see how it goes. What questions to ask? Anything you're stuck in, anything that you feel, if you're pre-revenue, what are the first things that you're hesitant about? What are the things that are preventing you from achieving the goals you want to achieve? I would ask any question around where you're stuck. So try to look at your all the things you're doing, all the things you need to get done. Think where you want to be and what's preventing you getting there, and that'll help you generate some questions on, I always like asking the question, if you had a magic wand, what would need to happen in your business for you to quit your job, for instance, right? So what are all the things that need to happen? And then look at those things and say, where are you stuck? Why aren't you doing them? What's preventing you from getting there? And that'll generate a ton of ideas that you can ask here and go through the mentors. So wisely, answers are really easy to find. Questions are harder to find. So just go into where you are and what's preventing you from getting to the next level and quitting your job. Those are the questions I would ask the mentors. I hope that helps. All right, I have Michael Wilding. After you buy into a business, how do you quantify that you have got your investment back? All right, ROI. I bought into ticketscene.ca a year ago. Have been working at it and have just quit my day job in April. So now the business is paying my wages, but it is only paying what I would have made in my day job. At present, I don't believe this is getting my investment back. You are correct. So just because we start a business doesn't mean we have a job in it. Just because we invest in a business doesn't mean we have a job in it. You have different roles that are happening right now. You are an investor in your business and you are a worker in your business. So your salary is not part of that return of investment. You have to understand what the capital you invested will be paid through shareholder distributions and through profits at the end of each year or each quarter, and then your salary is part of your work. If you were not working in this business, you would have to pay the same salary to somebody else. So it is not a return on investment theoretically, right? So you're holding different seats, so make sure that you're paying yourself accordingly. If you're holding the worker seat, you're getting paid as a worker or whoever would be in that position. But if you're an investor, you also need to get paid as an investor. Now, remember, investors get paid last. So employees get paid first, then comes banks and loans, then come everything. So $1 profit just means that you've met your obligations, right? $1 profit just means I just met everything I needed to pay, and then after that is usually when investors get paid. So when will you get this return of investment is once you have enough profit to return the investment and the capital investment you made on this purchase. So that's the way I would position it. So yes, you are correct. You are not getting your investment back by paying yourself a salary. You're just paying yourself for a job. And that's what we don't want as an entrepreneur. We don't want to be a job. So make sure that you start scaling so that you start delegating, and that way you start paying people, getting to that, but then you can start paying yourself as an investor once you get to profitability. In regards to timing for that, it all depends on each. Usually investments, you go 2-3 years, a 20 to 30% ROI per year is really high. So you can go from 2 to 3 years to 10 years in paying and making that investment back. That all depends on how fast your company achieves profitability. All right, let's go to Carrington Crothers. Is it ever beneficial to pursue a second business idea while still building out your current business? Story of my life. I currently am working to grow and learn to expand my current product photography business. I know I am notorious for always wanting to do more, and my creative mindset is always thinking, and the gears are always turning. Does the potential opportunity to pursue another business idea hinder the growth of my current business, or if not, when is it worth looking into different avenues to work alongside my photography business? Thanks. All right, so Carrington, this is we call it the the shiny object syndrome, or squirrel, right? So as entrepreneurs, visionaries, we have 1,000 ideas at the same time. We will always try to see what's new and get passionate about what's new. And some types of entrepreneurs are great at starting businesses and not running them. So this is a question I would start with is, are you the type of entrepreneur that you're great at startups but not at scaling and stabilizing businesses? Because I'm not, right? So I realized I was 12 years too long in my 16-year business that I was with my first time. Then I realized, my second business, I was there 2 years, and then I had an operator, and my 2 current businesses, I have 2 operating partners. So what I've realized in myself is that I have a lot of ideas, I have a lot of opportunities. I like to put a lot of things on the fire at the same time. When I sold my second business, I started at the third and fourth at the same time to see which one was a good business, and both of them have taken off. The first one skyrocketed first year, second one is slowly getting there, but it's almost there. So what I've decided to do is, I know I'm a startup entrepreneur, so I like starting things up, I like getting things started, but then I find an operator, and typically an operating partner, so that they can really operate it, have their heart in it, operate it, and then I can go to my second thing. Is this ideal? No, this is not ideal. This is something that it's taken me years to understand, because when I was in my first business, I was trying to repackage the software and selling it, trying to repackage different things and do different things at the same time. And what that caused in my business was chaos, because it's lack of focus, lack of understanding that I need to focus my time and attention in scaling my business first. And then once I have a true operator that can own all decision making and go and push the company forward, it's not worth the hassle of going to the next thing, because then we're half-assing all of our businesses. So that was my experience. That's what I've seen. The more you focus, the better things will perform. What happened in my second business is It took me too long to get out of that business, and I was stalling because I was focused on my new shiny object, and my business just kept stalling, and then little by little it kept declining. So that's when my employees decided to buy my company from me, because they're like, you're not giving us the attention we need. We need a pivot, and if we don't pivot, we can't do. And thank God, because I sold in 2019 and they pivoted right before COVID, and we were in a food business, and their pivot saved the company. I wouldn't have had the energy. I was focused on two other things. So the power of focus, the power of really prioritizing is really important. So I would go with number one, focus on what really matters and get this off the ground. And once you do get, if you decide to move to a different thing, you need to have somebody operational, an operational partner that can really run with this, stabilize and scale the company so that you can go out and do your second thing. So it all depends on what type of entrepreneur you are. There are entrepreneurs that are very operational and they love scaling and stabilizing businesses, right? So depending on the type of entrepreneur you are, you either buy companies and grow them, or your startup companies and then you delegate them, or try to understand what type of entrepreneur you are, and it'll help you understand the answer to your question. All right, I have another question for Carrington Crothers. What are ways to incentivize word of mouth referrals? I run a product photography agency, and whether it's through current clients or networking, what are good ways to incentivize people who share your information? Are there different techniques for different types of connections, such as current clients versus not clients, local networking relationships? Carrington, this really depends on your industry and what you want to achieve. I've seen a lot of different referral programs and referral incentives. I think in your case, you're more of a professional and artist, and you're catering to this. My business right now is it's only based on referrals as well. So we incentivize referrals in many ways. We have connectors, so it's people who have the same core customer we do. So I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. We help entrepreneurs gain traction and implement systems in their business and do all these things. So I have connectors that are bankers. I have connectors that are marketers. I have connectors that are CPAs. I have connectors that are business attorneys, because we all share the same type of client. So what I do with them is I give them a cut. So I tell them, I'm going to give you the pitch or whatever we do, and if they find customers for us, which are connectors, they get a cut of whatever that is, and that way they're incentivized to bring customers to us. If we go with customers directly, we typically don't give them a cut, because we always say it's the best compliment you can give us, but we give them something of value extra. So it's, hey, so and so referred to us, and we tell them, hey, thank you for the referral. You get 10% extra value on our next one, or you get something extra. We don't like discounting, so what we like to do is add value in your next purchase, and that way we're motivating them to purchase again, and we're giving them a thank you at something. We're giving them more value for generating that referral. But there's a lot of affiliate models, a lot of online stores and online people. You get a link, and then based on those people that get a link, you get a cut of that. So you can do affiliate models. You can also incentivize by asking your customers at the end of your session, since you're in photography, at the end of that, hey, for every 3 clients you give me, you get a free session, or you do something like that, and you can give them value at different ways. So they can give you 3 names, and if one of them converts, you can do those things. So that's something like insurance agents do a lot, and real estate agents, when they finish giving you your life insurance or your home or whatever it is they give you a piece of paper, and they're like, hey, give me your top 3 friends I can help with, and if 2 or 3 of them do that, I'll give you an extra incentive, and I'll give you an extra thing, or whatever, and then it generates them to give referrals right there and then, because they're happy about the service, and they're happy to refer as well. So those are different things I've seen. I hope this helps. Right, let's go with Nadia Savyuk. If someone wanted to invest in me to open up a salon suite business, how much percentage would I have to give them? Oof. I am currently in a salon suite as a hairstylist looking to expand to own salon suites. Okay, this is a tricky question because in reality, when you're an operator and somebody's investing in you completely, you're not putting any part of your money into the investment. You're really entitled 10 to 20% sweat equity, which you're the operator of the business. That's what I've seen mostly out there, right? So just by operating the business, you get 10 to 20% of the equity as a sweat equity. 15% is the most common, but there's some people that go towards 10, there's some people that go towards 20, depending on the complexity of the business and how much you need the operator. But in reality, the investor is the one who would own the other part of the majority. That's what I've seen most companies or most investors want, because they need to get the return of investment for the company. So I would think about if you're putting in the money, this all depends on who's putting in the money, because remember, if you're putting in the money and you're an operator, that's the same question we started at the beginning. You're an investor and you're also an operator. So what percentage of that works, right? So the thing I want to add here is when you're negotiating equity, since there's two questions in this mentor session around that, there's 3 C's we need to negotiate, and they're all negotiated separately. The first one is compensation, right? So how much compensation will the person who operates go, right? So that's one. Then it's contract is, who will own what, and what are the principles around our partnership, and who control, and then the third C is who controls control. So you got contract, control, and compensation. With contract is also the percentage of shares. Am I going to be 49%? Am I going to be, because I could own 1% of a company, but I could have 100% of control of the company, right? So you're negotiating all 3 things separately. You can get paid as a worker. You can get a control, right? I could be 40% owner of a company and have 80% control, full control and voting rights, and make all decisions in my company, right? So it doesn't matter what the contract says and percentage-wise, it's control at the end of who has the last say, right? So there's 3 things we negotiate when we're negotiating equity. We negotiate our own compensation as workers. We negotiate the contract, percentages, who owns what, and how does that work, and how do the assets get allocated. And then number 3 is control. Who controls what decisions and how, right? So when you're negotiating those things, that's it. And then to finish this question, this is a very complex question, but at the end, it all depends on who comes and invests with you, right? If somebody comes in and says, hey, I'm going to invest for 5 salons in the next 3 years, and you're going to operate them and you're going to go through there and you want to be part of that, I'll give them equity, right? I'll give them the equity they need, and they're the investors. They're giving you the money. Now, if I need to put in half of the investment and they put in half of the investment and also being the operator, then I would go with, hey, let's go with the investment piece. Let's go with operator first, 15%, and then we split the 75% left between 2 of us. So it's 35, and 17. So that person would have 35, I'll have the rest. So that's the way I would negotiate that, because we got the operator compensation, and then we also have the control and the contract. Hope this helps. All right. And it seems that's it. All right. So that was a short mentor session. Hope this was helpful. And write a post, write a comment if there's anything you want to share or add to anything I said.